creating a culture of inclusion, best practices for implementing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And I would request Mr. Akshaya Kashyap, Chief People Officer, Future Generali India Insurance Company Limited, to come on the dais. Mr. Akshaya Kashyap, Chief People Officer at Future Generali Indian Insurance, has 19 years of HR experience across manufacturing, retail, and insurance sectors. He drives strategic HR alignment with business objectives, enhances employee productivity and engagement, and fosters a culture of excellence and growth.
We invited a diverse group of people to understand biases. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your time today. We will be asking you a set of questions, and there are some glass boxes provided to you. Every time your answer is yes, place the glass boxes in front of you, one upon the other, starting with the smallest. Are you ready? Let's begin. Have you ever been bullied? Have you ever been called a nickname based on your physical attributes? Have you ever been catcalled or wolf whistled at? Have you ever been made fun of for your choice of clothing? Have you ever altered the way you dress, talk, or gesticulate to fit in better with peers? Have you dropped out of social clubs or events due to fear of judgment? Have you ever been treated differently in professional setup? Have you ever laughed at a joke you actually felt triggered by? Have you ever avoided family gatherings? Have you kept a secret from your family because of fear of abandonment? And the final question. Have you dated somebody of a gender not in line with your preference? All of you have been given a hammer. Please use it to break free of the biases you have faced. The experiment will be considered over only when everyone's glass boxes are broken. Those who had too many glass boxes were not able to break them. So we asked them, how many of you are from the LGBTQIA+ community? The LGBTQIA+ community has been boxed in many more biases. Since we built the closet, shouldn't we also take responsibility of breaking it down? LGBTQIA+ members face far more biases than the rest of the society. To help break these biases, we encourage you to be a friend, an ally. Because when we understand together, we stand together. Stand with pride. Future Generali prides itself on being an inclusive employer.
Okay, this is just to start off with. Thank you for the applause. This video was created around a year and a half back, around 18 months if I'm to be precise. We started with a journey with the typical DEI thing coming into the organization, and we have been forced to look into that. I'm among those nasty guys. क्या बकवास चल रहा है यार? क्या करवा रहे हो? HR वाला हूँ, ठीक है, मजबूरी है, करना पड़ेगा. It's a part of the KPI and blah blah and many things like that. And I'm sure most of us have had a similar experience. Around almost 18, 19 months back, we actually thought about it seriously. We thought of it, why not, what is actually in it? We did quite some research. There was a push from the CEO that, why do you do, I mean, we actually need it because it was more of a KPI from our core group that is Generali. So we decided, let's be a little serious around it. Let's do some research. Let's get into something which involves more of understanding the need and who would actually do it, the most common thing. So the first thing that was to understand what is DEI all about. Basic things, what is diversity, who is in the room, that is almost everybody or everyone. Equity, whether equal opportunity exists or is provided. Something which is very, very, very easy to understand. Inclusion, whether everyone is welcomed, respected, supported, and valued. Everybody understands this, easy to go. For us, it was important to believe that DEI is not only the right thing to do, but also a strategic imperative to build a stronger and a competitive organization. Then comes whose responsibility is DEI. Now, don't respond as an HR. Respond as a general organization. Whose responsibility is DEI? The most common response that we received was human resource. Because that's what people said, right? Your initiative, you do it. Why are you asking me? हम बोले नहीं, हम नहीं. तो next कौन? CEO. Next कौन? हम बोले everyone. Thanks for reading that, ma'am. So we said everyone, and then they said, what are you talking about? मैं नहीं करने वाला. मजाक कर रहे हो क्या? What am I supposed to do? This is not my job. I have better things to do. I need to run business. I need to ensure productivity. I need to run everything. Blah 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 blah. चलते गया. Then I said, why am I here as HR? So that's when we came up with a clarity. That yes, I'm responsible as a catalyst for change. I'm responsible as the owner of the culture of this organization, and thereby I will try to bring in that culture in the organization where DEI is enabled rather than enforced. What is DEI? And that's what comes as a part of my culture, where multifaceted human assets are valued, respected, and enabled to operate in their super optimal efficiencies. When I use words like super optimal, they were like, बहुत बातें कर रहे हैं, let's see. So eventually, when we ask them, okay, what are some keywords that you talk about? When you talk about DEI, some common words that came out were transparency, openness, trust, unconscious bias-free, empathy and acceptance, engaged, and blah blah blah. Agreeable, everything was great. And when again asked about what would it result to, theoretically right, it would result to a future-ready organization and a workplace of choice. Great. Today, DEI takes the center place, be it whatever function, operations, management, engineering, blah, blah. The center stage is DEI. And when I state that, for us, DEI is derived from the larger business strategy and not just as a part of HR strategy. Just to quote you, just to make quotations clear, DEI is a part of my CEO's KPI. It's a part of every individual's KPI till at least every manager in the organization. E as being essential element of a sustainable business strategy, we just spoke about it, understandable. I is an inseparable aspect of the vision, mission, values of the organization and not merely a goal to have. So how diverse is DEI? I think it goes all around. I need not read out. The general belief of diversity is typically around three aspects of gender, age. In fact, age is still not accepted by the world yet, at least not in the larger world. At least a few organizations acknowledge generation. But in terms of gender, in terms of sexual orientation, in terms of diverse, especially able people and all that. So we started off with the very first stage, and we'll talk about that. What we did was to first understand what are the practices, the most common thing asked of. What are the practices that exist in the organization? Very, very common things that I could pick up were understanding the value of DEI, diverse leadership representation, cultivating a diverse talent pool, and blah, blah, blah. So what we initially tried to do was all that we could pick up, we just placed them in a sort of a sequence and try to see whether this could make some sense. We tried, we experimented, we couldn't make some sense. Then we spoke about something called a DEI strategic framework. Important aspect over here was that of course, getting back to over here, it talks about the leadership representation, and hence we spoke about sponsorship. So that's where we spoke about having a common vision, having a business sponsor, having employee sponsors. But while doing it, it was important to also look at what are the other aspects. So we needed to create a culture. We need to have the operational efficiencies defined. We need to ensure that the sufficient education series were created. And most important of all, I can create an education. It's important to refresh it regularly. So having this 3x4 metrics was very important for us to start off with. Today, as I speak, the business sponsors, we'll again talk about it later, but yeah, the business sponsors meet every month. And literally the ERG heads or the ambassadors are grilled on what is happening. Now, so now before I move it, let's talk about the vision statement of, or the DI statement of Future Generali. This is the DI statement. You can find it on our website. You can find it everywhere. This is a very strong statement. Though it's a huge one, we tried to crisp it down, but then we decided we should not crisp it down. This was made almost two years back. Again, similarly, 18 months odd back. And I believe this impacts a lot. From a state where the footfall on my website was less than 30, 40 applicants to a state where I have more than around 190 to 200 applicants in a month. So that's the impact it has created. Now, I was talking about the committee and the ambassadors. The DI core committee is led by the CMO, the CPO, CDO, and the COO. And there are 3 ERGs formed: the World of Women, Pride Alliance Group, and the Special Ability Alliance Group. Each of them being led by the Chief Compliance Officer, the Chief Compliance, the Chief Risk, and the Chief Internal Auditors. So, and not only that, when I say that, then the ERG group has a specific set of people assigned to them. One is a marketing SPOC, the HR SPOC, a sales SPOC, a functional SPOC, and an employee volunteer. The last year, when we asked for employee volunteers, we actually didn't have many. This year, when we asked for it, it actually flooded. We had to, again, get into a voting system after that. So there's a huge difference that we saw in people participation as well. Now, why are we here? Definitely for the best practices. So trying to just summarize it down. Probably some pictures could help because we are again short of time. I can just help you out with what are the best practice that we did was, of course, the first thing was about identifying roles and potential roles. For females, it was still easy because it was first to pick up the existing roles. Replacement of positions was mandatory. Workshop on unconscious biases, work-life experiences, review and revamp of policies. When I say a review and revamp of policies, a simple thing like period leave was introduced. While we did that, we realized that the system took it very naturally. It needs to go to the manager for approval. 2 months later, we realized as a feedback something is wrong. Why should it go to the manager for approval? Just inform him. When a female applies for a period leave, it gets in the system, it is auto-approved, and then the manager is just updated about it. That's it. So period leave being introduced, we had cab facilities for females, then beyond 7 p.m., and then I don't even remember. I think my team would actually know that better because, in fact, there were actually a lot of policies that were introduced for the females. Yeah, we actually extended the paternal leave from 5 days to 30 days. Understanding the impact that a female needs to go through. It's not only the female, it's also the father who has to support in the journey. Now, again, what happened was managers didn't agree, so we said, okay, it's okay. The paternity leave has to be consumed in the next 6 months in a max of 2 tranches. So another such thing over here. Then we have encouraged all women branch and teams. Then what we have also done is we have incentivized all our TA partners of a 1% plus beyond whatever the agreement rates are. We have activated women specialist vendors. As on date, we have almost 50 odd women specialist vendors. Coming to the Pride Alliance Group, 3 weeks back, I had a first team member in my own team who has joined as a transgender, and the first of the organization. Trust me, the experience is different. Let's assess people based on their qualifications rather than holding on the glass of our biases. When I speak of the Special Alliance Group, I didn't put a picture of the person. My star recruiter in the team is a 100% visually impaired resource. And she can scrub the entire Naukri. The quality of memory that she carries is great. 2 years back, around similarly, 2021 year end, we had 2 PWDs in the organization. Today, as I speak, we have 17. We target a 40 by the year end this year. You can actually find these references on LinkedIn where my CEO writes about it, and then I've actually reciprocated back. So 1% of our total workforce is what we target. In terms of special any beyond things that we do is yes, plus 2% for the partners, for the TA partners for both LGBTQI and the special ability alliance groups. We have also specifically focused. Now, the question that people generally ask, where do we get them? I think the best thing is to go and hunt out. We definitely struggled with these two groups. We definitely struggled. Today, as I speak, I have 5 NGO partners over here and 4, here 4 and over there 5 NGO partners who are working with us. We have told them that let's work beyond NGO. We live and incentivize you. Some of them have agreed, some of them haven't. I have one of my team members sitting over here. He has run job fairs beyond Mumbai, please, because it's always okay to believe that Mumbai mein to hota hi rehta hai. Sorry, we have done it in Lucknow, we have done it in Bangalore, now we are scheduling it somewhere in Hyderabad shortly, with an average footfall of almost 30 plus in those locations for these groups, for these specially able groups. So, but the most important thing beyond everything was communication. Communication of whatever we did internally, externally, everywhere. So this is something which ensured that our employees also knew of what's happening. While we incorporated our practices, we got them participating into it. But the most important aspect was of communicating all through both the external and the internal the scope of audience. Another thing that I'd like to talk about is the ergonomics, or the tools that I use that help them out. It's very important not to forget about what the ergonomics are. So while I say so, some basic things that should be kept in mind is that you need to ensure that you create ramps, brails, and blah, blah. Many of the partners first do an audit for you. In fact, I'll also talk about that quickly because I don't think we'll have much time around it. But yeah, these are some studies which talk about increasing productivity. I wouldn't say that we have seen those 2x, 3x, 8x productivity levels yet, but yes, we have definitely seen an increase in productivity. We have definitely seen an increase, dip in attrition. Our attrition is lower than the industry median. I represent the GI industry. Somebody is talking about the frontline sales attrition to be about whatever 100% plus. For me, it's just 42%. Right, and I'm talking about those off-roll resources. My FLS on-roll attrition is somewhere around 31% odd. My overall attrition stands at around 26%. Industry stands at around 36% odd. So a lot that goes to these, beyond other practices that we do, but definitely over here. It's also important to look at how do we measure the overall effectiveness. The input matrices over here on which we work upon the in-process matrices and the output matrices. So these are the matrices on which we operate or that we measure regularly to look at how are we doing in different stages of the inclusion implementation. The audits, like I said, we definitely started off with we're doing what is the demographic audit of the organization, of the industry, took some benchmarks around it. We started off with understanding what are our existing policies and procedures. We got them into processing. And during the in-process thing, we did some climate surveys into understanding at various stages as actually running some dipsticks. We did focus group and interviews. As an output, we all at a later stage, the audit in terms of what actually got implemented, what was planned after the pre-audit done. And then finally, also looking at the efficiency metrics. So this is again something that ensures that we are on track of what was planned of. Just a snapshot of the various awards that we have won. We are a great place to work for last 5 years. We are among the top 100 companies to work for. We've also been recognized by millennials as a great place to work, a DEI organization, and blah, blah, and quite a few more awards to add on to the feather. Some videos that you can pick up, like the one that we just showed now, you can actually pick up some of the videos. I would request to run this final video before I close the session, please.
They applaud me for being a superwoman.
Celebrate me for being a tiger mom.
They call me a powerhouse for my ambitions.
A boss lady. And I go along.
All these tags, these labels, the titles they award, turn heavy with expectations. I don't see them as a reward. I belong to a workplace where it's understood that there are times when the bluest of days start with spots of red. And I can choose to rest and not be a shiro instead. A workplace wherein being a supermom doesn't compromise my place, where I'm not rushed to resume my pace, which understands that she can't be the village it takes to nurture and raise. A workplace that empathizes when my battles are much more than just the day-to-day. For this Iron Lady's mental health, an expert is just a phone call away. I am called a Wonder Woman. Well, sometimes I work till late, but I've reached home safe at all hours, no matter the delay. Where I have a seat at the table, a position to lead change. Where I don't have to live up to labels. I can be myself. I work at Future Generali, where we acknowledge that labels put tremendous pressure on women to unfailingly live up to expectations. Future Generali believes a label shouldn't define a woman. Here, the policies and programs aim to erase these labels and enable women to succeed at work. At Future Generali, we enable, not label.
Thank you for this. So the links anyway show some more video clips that you created. Anyways, thanks for this.
To felicitate Mr. Akshaya Kashyap, I would be requesting Mr. Praveen Agarwala, co-founder and group CEO, Better Place, to please come on the dais.